Alright, it's time for my Deadpool 2 spoiler talk. That is what this is. If you haven't seen Deadpool 2 yet, gonna be some spoilers in this video, so now you've been warned. And as usual for my spoiler talks, this isn't a play-by-play. I'm not gonna tell you everything that happens in the movie. Not gonna tell you every reference that happens in the movie. That would be fucking impossible. Just gonna tell you about some stuff that stuck out in my mind that I couldn't talk about in the spoiler-free review. I'll talk about the spoiler talk. And the first big thing that happens in this movie, you see this action sequence, is just, it literally is a montage of Deadpool killing people. Always fun. But then he gets home and Vanessa, his girlfriend, gets killed. Which is funny, because after I saw the movie, my friend was like, I love Deadpool 1. It was a romance movie. It's great. I was like, yeah, I enjoyed Deadpool 2. Which I won't lie, I felt like I was kind of gut punched in the movie. I was like, I didn't like that they did that. Granted, they do a thing in the mid-credit scene that possibly undoes all of that, depending on how they execute the next movie. I kind of want to talk about it right now, but talking about the mid-credit scene at the beginning of this video feels a little strange, so I feel like well, that sounds perfect to me. Just do your video normal. You will talk about the mid-credit scene at the end of this video. I'll just fast forward everybody there right now, bring it back here after it's done like it never happened. They'll get some context, trust me. All right, there we go. Oh, and he won't tell you this, but when Deadpool was burned near the end, his suit was burned, totally looked like his X-Force outfit. Thought that was pretty cool. Then he saves Vanessa. He takes the cream cheese spreader and kills the guy before he actually shoots her. Felt like, well, what's the point of the romance of Deadpool 1 if in Deadpool 2 she's just gonna die, but now he saved her life, so is she actually dead? I asked that because this mid-credit scene is just, it's filled with comedy that can't happen. Like, he can't go back in time and shoot Ryan Reynolds in the head because he is played by Ryan Reynolds. So obviously that didn't happen. So the mix of comedy, breaking the fourth wall for comedy, and time travel has me going, what is it real? I assume it is real. I assume he went back, killed the dude, she didn't actually die, so she can actually be in Deadpool 3 now. Which then makes you go, what was the point of Deadpool 2? Did Deadpool 2 actually happen since he kind of got on that path because she died? If she lived, it is kind of a paradox if it all happened because it couldn't have happened. Then again, that paradox doesn't apply to the fact that the bear that Cable has isn't burned anymore, so his family's fine, but he still came back in time. If they were going on the paradox thing, then Cable would have just disappeared. The events of Deadpool 2 wouldn't have happened. The whole time travel stuff with the fourth wall breaking stuff just bends your brain. But I think it's a brilliant way to end it because if Marina Baccarin, or Baccarin, however you say her name, is just, I've always been iffy on how you pronounce her last name. If Marina wants to come back for Deadpool 3, she can. If she doesn't want to come back for Deadpool 3, she doesn't have to. Deadpool can just be like, yeah, I saved her life, but there's a multiverse, I guess, so I saved her, but it wasn't in this reality, so here we are. Kind of a great way to leave it off. Doesn't change the fact that I felt like I was tasting sour grapes throughout the movie because she died at the beginning until she was brought back at the end. It also does render those sentimental afterlife moments kind of pointless also. But fixing a timeline is the purest of motivations. If we could fix a timeline, like any of us would... It's the same device. You think I could? Oh, maximum effort. I have to try. Yeah, that doesn't work, by the way. So while he's off experiencing disappointment, let's go back, like, to before we went forward. There we go. Bring it back here after it's done like it never happened. They'll get some context, trust me. Whatever that was. Okay, so we'll talk about it later. But long story short, when I watched this movie, I did not like the fact that she died. They wanted to have a kid, and I feel like her death essentially gets him on the path of like, I gotta protect this other kid from Cable. That's like really the main thing in this movie. There's this kid who's going to kill this guy who did cruel experiments on him. After he kills this dude, he kind of gets a taste for blood. He ends up killing Cable's wife and kid, and then Cable comes back in time. He's gonna kill him so we can alter the future. And Deadpool's like, no, the kid isn't, it's not set in stone. He can change. If he just doesn't kill the guy, he won't actually get a taste for it. Which he blows himself up. There is a scene in this movie where he gets ripped literally in half. He's growing his body back, which is kind of a playoff of the last movie when he lost his arm and he had the weird little baby arm. Now he has an entire baby body from the waist down because it's all growing back. But when he blew himself up, I was like, was there a weird baby body growing out of his head? I don't know. It didn't show it. So maybe a lot of time passed. Point is, Colossus gets a hold of him, brings him back to the X-Men mansion. He references the other X-Men. He's like, can the studio just throw us a bone and give us more X-Men? His back is to this room where there's the X-Men. I saw James McAvoy's Xavier. I saw Beast. I saw Quicksilver. There were a lot of them. My head was like, well, wait, who all's there? And then they close the door and he doesn't see him. Gotta go back and take notes of all the X-Men that were there. And that did crack me up. But one of the things in this movie is like, all right, we need to get an X-Force together. And the trailer plays them up so much. Like, this is almost a precursor to the X-Force movie. And they're all in the airplane. You got Terry Crews. You have Bill Skarsgård as Acid Vomit Man. I said in my last video, I didn't know the names of these people, which is really funny. In the comment section, someone was like, have you ever read a comic book? It's just kind of weird to insinuate that if I've read a comic book, I would know their name. I mean, I'm just there like, and done. Yep. Still don't know who they fucking are. Are you about to come at me with the semantics of comic books versus graphic novels in the comment section? Are you? But they jump out of the plane in the greatest use of Thunderstruck I think I've ever heard, and they all just sequentially die. Invisible Guy turns out to be Brad Pitt, hits the power lines. Acid Vomit Man gets sucked into a wood chipper, throws up on Peter, he gets burned in half, like everyone's dead. I was like, wow, I was kind of looking forward to the X-Force doing something. It was funny as hell, and if I'm bringing up the comment section in my Deadpool 2 review, someone was like, this is just too crowded, it's gonna be an X-Force movie and that's it. I was like, well, Domino lives, but I suppose that was the point, to show that even she can't get massacred with the rest of the X-Force with her power, which is luck. But after this action sequence in this big armored vehicle, something gets freed from that prison they were all hanging out in that I feel took a bit too much time. And that thing is the Juggernaut. The Juggernaut is in this movie, which I loved Juggernaut, the character in this movie. I did not love the Juggernaut CGI all the time. Sometimes the CGI looked all right. Sometimes he's the one I was talking about where I was like, looks like a couple console generations in the past. Even when Juggernaut fights Colossus, Deadpool looks at the camera, he's like, big CGI fight coming. Couldn't have been phrased any better. It is a big CGI fight. Quite frankly, it's the least interesting part of the whole thing. Even his big CGI hairy man ass, I was like, that is not a realistic looking man ass. I guess Matt Damon's in the movie somewhere. I didn't see him, which is funny because Matt Damon is also in Thor Ragnarok. Matt Damon's hitting up the comic book movie comedies, I guess. Pretty sure I heard a John Connor reference directed at Cable, which I thought was weird. Like, Deadpool does call Cable John Connor, right? Did I mishear that? I'm open to the possibility of mishearing that, because if Deadpool did call Cable John Connor, the only movie where that would make sense, where the time-traveling bad guy is actually also John Connor, is that movie. And that movie is not referenceable, ever, at all. So I must have misheard you, Wade. But for the end of the movie, Cable shoots at the kid. Deadpool has put on the collar that nerfs his power, so Deadpool gets shot, and he's there dying. But what Cable does, he has one more time jump, and he goes back in time, and then puts his hand on Wade Wilson and puts that little coin there, so when he jumps in front of him, the coin takes the bullet. So the kid sees people care for him, he doesn't actually kill the dean or whatever. Cable's wife and kid are fine because the teddy bear's not burned. Everyone's great. It looks like the dean's gonna get away with it, but no, Dopinder just runs him over. But Dopinder has a taste for that shit now. Maybe he's gonna be the one who actually kills Cable's family. Ooh! I do think this movie, I had a whole thing, a whole monologue in my spoiler-free review that I couldn't phrase right. It was late, but I think I can perfectly phrase it now, is this movie is funny, and it always takes the joke. It's one of those see the joke, take the joke kind of movie. And that's a good comedy, but what separates a good comedy from a great comedy for me, a great comedy will take a step back and let the drama marinate for a little longer. It'll make the call to go, no, we're not gonna take this joke, we'll take the next one. We'll let the drama settle for this moment. Not that this movie doesn't have sentimental moments, not that this movie doesn't have drama. In fact, the scenes where Wade Wilson is with Vanessa in the afterlife, I like the music, I like the sentiment of that. So it's not devoid of those attempts. I just feel like I can think of about 5 other moments where I'm like, you should have taken a step back on the comedy, just for those scenes. Just my opinion, I feel like I'm not in the majority for that, but the movie is still a good comedy. The mid-credit scenes I thought was the best. Negasonic Teenage Warhead and I believe her girlfriend also fixes Cable's time-traveling device, gives it to Wade Wilson. Deadpool can now stream through time. He goes back and he saves Peter, doesn't save anyone else, he just goes back, he's like, go home, Peter, just go home. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Go home, please. Peter's like, yeah, this has been kind of a scary day, and Peter goes home. It's just one scene. You see these, they look like pajamas. It pans up, you're like, oh my god, that's shitty Deadpool from X-Men Origins Wolverine. It's actual footage from X-Men Origins Wolverine. Then this gun comes out of nowhere and blows away shitty Deadpool because actual Deadpool killed shitty Deadpool. He's like, hey, just fixing the timeline, don't scratch me. It just shoots Deadpool a few more times, or shitty Deadpool, which we know from X-Men Origins Wolverine wouldn't have killed him. It makes me feel good though. Then he saves Vanessa. He takes the cream cheese spreader and kills the guy before he actually shoots her. But like, well, what's the point of the... Yeah, you've already seen this stuff at the beginning of the video when I fast forwarded to the end of the video, which is about where we're at now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fast forward this part. And there you are. It also does render those sentimental afterlife moments kind of pointless also. But fixing a timeline is the purest of motivations. If we could fix a timeline, like any of us would... It's the same device. You think I could? Oh, maximum effort. I have to try. lot of banter with some really cool characters. And I will say Suicide Squad is... What the... Oh, sick. Okay, so I did buy this movie on Blu-ray, and it took me a couple of rum and cokes to get through. Sorry, I've never seen a human head detached from a body before. It took me a couple of rum and cokes to get through it, so I will say it's probably a better time if you're drunk. Yeah, no, it's a party. Oh, look how young I look. Oh, that is unsettling. Other than the fact that I'm actually really concerned now because I'm afraid of disappearing, because that was my past self. Am I going to get Marty McFly here? No? All right. I think it's time to... I can't look at it. All right, I think it's time to go. But chin up. We go back to a bright and better tomorrow where I never have to hear about this shit again. All right, let's see if that works. I'll say Suicide Squad is definitely worth watching and definitely worth buying on Blu-ray. Fuck! Fucking multiverse. Well, whatever. Had to try. But in the end, I had a great time with Deadpool 2. I do feel like it has a bit of a case of sequelitis, maybe just because Deadpool 1 was such a great experience, because it was such an unexpected experience, and a movie that I never counted on getting. It's a sequel that's really good, but it's just not as good as the first movie. And I feel like the internet chatter right now is all about Han Solo and the reviews for that, so do remember, Deadpool 2 comes out this weekend. Enjoy watching it. All right, so Deadpool 2, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more. Oh man, time travel shit. I gotta be the one to go back and do all that other stuff. Otherwise, it didn't happen. But it did happen. So yeah, click right here to see more. Gotta go.